Hey everybody, it's Mr. K. Welcome back to music class at Williston. Today we're going to start on a new musical instrument family called brass. Now, when we were talking about woodwind instruments, of course we were talking about the ones that use a little piece of wood. Oh, that one's broken, huh? Little piece of wood called a reed to make it sound. And remember, the reed vibrates, and that's where we get our sound for woodwind instruments. On a brass instrument, the sound is made a little bit differently. The sound is made with one of these. This is also called a mouthpiece, much like the one we had for saxophone and clarinet and for flute. But I don't blow across this one, and I don't use a reed to make sound with it because there's really no place to put the reed. What happens is I have a little cup on the inside of that. I don't know if you can see that very well. And I put my lips to that and I blow. Now, doesn't make a whole lot of sound. It doesn't really sound anything like a brass instrument, like when I blow on a reeded mouthpiece and it makes a sound. But for this, what I need to do is I put my lips together and I buzz. And when I do it in my mouthpiece, I get a sound. And that's how brass instruments make their sounds. So the first brass instrument that we're going to look at is called a trumpet. I have a trumpet here. This is a trumpet. Well, this is a cornet, but we're going to call it a trumpet for now. This trumpet is 96 years old. It was made in 1925. I bought it about 14 years ago from a pawn shop, not a pawn shop, a rubbish shop in Dillon, Montana, and it was in bad shape. And I sent it off to a company to have it fixed, and they replaced everything that was broken, and they soldered parts together, and now I have a really, really nice trumpet. It's 96 years old, way older than I am. But it's got all the parts that we need to look at today. So we know about the mouthpiece. And the mouthpiece fits into this part right here. And I just put it in, and I start buzzing, and I make sounds. Okay, I'll take that off for now. But there's other parts of this. Now, we know about this part right here that flares out because we've seen it in the clarinet and the saxophone. This is the bell of our trumpet, and it does the same thing. It helps make the sound louder so that when it gets out to the audience that's trying to hear, they can hear it a lot better. But then we have all sorts of other stuff going on here. We have all these tubes and these little buttons that are right here that I was touching and playing a little bit ago. These buttons and these tubes actually work together. The trumpet itself, if I don't do anything to it, the air goes in here and it circles around and it goes through all those tubes and it comes out this pipe in the back, goes out the top and out to everybody else. And that's our main instrument. That's like having the clarinet without holding any holes, or the saxophone without holding any buttons. On a trumpet, I've only got 3 buttons, so I have to use combinations. But if I were to push this button down right here, what happens is the air still goes through, but when it gets to this part, instead of going to this pipe, it takes a detour and it goes through here, okay? And then it comes and goes out the main pipe, which makes my instrument bigger. And we know that when an instrument gets bigger or longer, our sound goes down. Yes, very, very good. And so if I were to play this and I push and I play one note and I push that button down, my sound should go down because I'm making my instrument longer. Can you hear the difference? Let me try a different one. Let's see if the same thing happens, because this adds in a little bit. And then this one's even longer because it takes up all this extra space right here. So it should go even further. Okay. Now, to get higher notes, the brass instrument, well, on a woodwind, we have to hit a different set of buttons, and it just makes our instrument higher. On a brass instrument, all of the higher notes happen with this. So if I tighten my lips up, I can make my sound go up. Kind of cool. And by using all of that together, I get all sorts of fun stuff I can play. Are you ready? Cool stuff. Now, there are all sorts of different sizes of trumpets and styles of trumpets. Like I said, the one I have is actually a cornet. And there's not a really big difference between the two of them besides how it sounds and how it's made. But we also have things like bugles, which don't have any buttons, so they rely just on their lips, right? Remember, I was making the different sounds. They rely just on their lips to make the different sounds. Now, trumpets have been around for a very, very long time. Not as long as flute and, not as long as, say, percussion, but they've been around for a long time. We know of trumpets that were used during the Egyptian times. They were either used to herald the pharaoh was coming, or to let people know, hey, it was time to go to prayers, or hey, it's time to eat. Okay, sort of like what they used to use, like in the army. They use it to make calls to let people know, hey, it's time to get up. Hey, it's time to go muster. Hey, it's time to eat. Hey, it's time to go to bed. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that they're used for, and they've been used for thousands of years. It's a pretty old instrument. I put some extra videos about trumpet, including some players, in the Google Classroom, so you can check those out if you'd like. Please make sure you take the quiz for this video so that you can get credit for watching it. And I will see you in your Google Meets this week, alright? Have a good one. Bye. Thank you.